A 64-year-old father of two with $265,000 in student loan debt. That and more insanity in today's report. And we're going to tell you why this is so insane for this guy here to be in such levels of debt right now, especially with what we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But first, I will give a big virtual high five to the person or people that get me to 72,000. We're sitting at 71,999. Please help me get the 72,000 and hit that subscribe button if you like what we talk about. And that way you don't miss any reports and economic updates. All right, we're going to start right here. This was put out here recently by Business Insider, and this is Yahoo News. The 64-year-old dad, two kids with $265,000 in student loan debt. Robert Pemberton, 64, he told Business Insider that paying off his debt is pushing back his retirement. My question is, if you're 64 and you're pushing back retirement, are you going to work to 100? Like, how long are you going to pay, or how long are you going to take to pay off this $265,000? Right? And sadly, this is not an unusual story. There's a lot of people in their 60s, 70s still just buried under debt. And actually, most people will never get out of debt. And if you do get out of debt, good luck staying out of debt if you go to a retirement home or some care facility. You're talking between $10,000 and $25,000 a month, typically on average. Right? But let's talk more about this article. He doesn't regret taking out the loans, but he said it was a bit too easy to grow all his debt. Listen to this. When he first took out these loans, he was making a six-figure salary, but a company merger changed his financial situation. He was laid off, but to his surprise, the government kept letting him borrow money without a salary. So without an income, he still got these student loans. Now, some of you may be saying, why would anyone loan money out to someone with no job? Well, you see, when you can print money out of nothing or you can borrow money endlessly, then does it really matter? So it almost seems like the goal of the money printers is to get people in debt. I mean, let me know what you think about this. So no income, and he still was able to borrow up to 200 and something thousand dollars. No income. From this article, quote, "This is an endless cycle where the loan can never be paid off unless I have a windfall and pay for it all, or I die and it goes away." He continues, "I don't know if I'll be able to work into my 80s, unquote. You see, when you have an endless printing press, you can loan out money even to someone that has no ability to pay it back, even with someone with no job. And that's what happens when you have endless money created out of thin air. If it was real money, maybe something that was tied to something tangible, like maybe a real asset, maybe silver or gold, you wouldn't see this type of lending because they would actually have something to lose by loaning out this money to the worst possible risk, someone with no income. And also, the ability to borrow this money, it makes prices go higher. So colleges, universities, they have no incentive to lower the price because they know that the lender of last resort, in this case the money printers, or those with access to the money printers, can still give out loans. Doesn't matter if it can't be repaid because you can just create more out of thin air anyways. But yet, you're still going to be on the hook for that debt. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll get loan forgiveness. Take a look at this article. The current administration to reveal major student loan debt forgiveness overhaul this week. So certain people, and I'm sure it's going to be a small portion of the population is going to get preferential treatment and get their loan forgiven. And can you imagine being the 64-year-old with all this debt, working until you're 80, and then finding out some other people got their student loan debt just paid off? It's almost enough to drive you crazy, right? Pretty unfair, right? Well, it gets even worse. Another Business Insider article, recent article. A single dad with $550,000 in student loan debts for his 5 children. Quote, "I'm not going to take the chance of not sending my kids to school," unquote. All right, now this guy here, Reed Clark, he's a little younger than the previous person we talked about. He's 57, though. He's not young. Will he have to work until he's 100, 150 years old to pay off $550,000 in student loan debt? And again, what if you're working till you're 70, 80, 85, who knows? And then you find out that some other people got their loans completely forgiven because of some stroke of the pen, right? This is absolute madness. And he says, quote here, quote, I'm looking at paying $3,000 a month for the better part of the rest of my life, unquote. Now, speaking of college debt, college degrees, and getting, a nice paying job, it seems like the better educated that people are, sometimes they just take on more debt. Because what do people do? They see the maximum payment they can afford, and then they take out the biggest loan possible to reach the maximum payment that they can afford based on their income. But then if there's a job loss or if there's a decline in their income, then they're up the creek without a paddle. And that's why we see articles like this, and we talked about this one last month. Why are people that make six figures living paycheck to paycheck? Because that's what they do. They go out and they take the biggest loan out possible to get the biggest payment that they can afford. So even if you're making 100,000, 150,000 a year, you're just getting into more debt by buying a bigger home, buying a nicer car. And the estimates vary based on the report that you look at, but we've uncovered a few studies here that say anywhere from 55 to 70% of people in the US are living paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of those are six-figure income earners. But I guess all you have to do is buy a home, right? Take out the biggest mortgage possible, buy a home, and then watch your wealth grow. A recent article here, 13fox.com, homeowner equity grows to nearly $3 trillion in the second quarter, averaging 50K annual gain per homeowner. The problem is, in order to realize that gain, you have to sell your home. And when you sell your home, where are you going to move to? Well, you're going to have to move maybe far out in the country to get a lower priced home. And there may not be many jobs around if you move that far out into the country. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this one up right here. Thank you if you do get us to 72,000. Thank you to those of you who clicked that subscribe button that were not already subscribed. I really appreciate it. Come back for more updates. We'll see you here very soon. Should this person work until he's 80 to pay off these student loan debts, or should he just maybe give up and wait for the debt forgiveness to be passed and signed into law? And also, I'd like to hear from you on this. Is it even worth it sending your kids to school anymore? Will their incomes be enough to pay off this type of debt? If the parent doesn't pay it off, maybe the student won't even be able to pay it off. Maybe it'll be generational debt. All right, thanks for watching this report, everybody. Stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Keep stacking, and I've got to add this one here. Stay sane, because this economy, this monetary structure is pretty insane. All right, thanks, everybody. Bye now.